Hello everyone, and welcome to this training webinar about Find and Filter setup in CloudMT. My name is Emma, and I'm the training coordinator and a senior member of the support team here at Citrus Lime. Thank you for joining me today. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping points. There is a Q&A enabled in today's webinar, which will allow you to submit questions during the session. Once you've submitted your question, you will see a confirmation message on the screen, but your question will not be posted for everyone else to see. At the end of the webinar, I will be reviewing and responding to questions verbally, so do not worry when you don't see a written response. Okay, let's get started. In today's webinar, we are going to be covering where to view Find and Filter setup in CloudMT. We'll be looking at the item records as well as the setup page. Why Find and Filter setup is important for AutoSIM users. The impact of Find and Filter on results pages, also known as Find and Filter pages. The impact of Find and Filter on Facet navigation, that's your menu. And how to use Find and Filter in other areas of CloudMT. We'll be looking at banners, star buys, and coupons. Let's get going with our first topic, where we can view Find and Filter setup in CloudMT. If you're familiar with CloudMT, then you're probably already used to seeing the Find and Filter options on an item record. This area is at the bottom of the Item Essentials section, just below the primary category and Google category fields. This is where we can see the Find and Filter options that have been assigned to a particular item. The options that you assign or tag your items with are called facets. So we can see here that there are 9 basic facets that you can assign, including department, activity, colour, and age group. To view these in more detail, or to change the facets on an item, you can click the blue button shown here on the screen. Within some of the departments and some of the item groups, you will have the option of going to another level of detail about the item. These additional facets are called browse filters. Here is an example of the browse filters within the department clothing. If we assign that facet, clothing, to an item, we can then go further and specify if it's of plain or graphic design, technical or casual usage, and choose a sleeve length, short-sleeved, long-sleeved, sleeveless, and so on. These browse filters will allow your customers to further filter their search results to really drill down into the type of products they're looking for. They also allow you to build more specific pages in your menu and elsewhere, but there'll be more on all of that later. For now, let's just recap our key points so far. We can view the Find and Filter options that have been assigned to an item on the item record. We call those options facets, so each item will have a department facet, a colour facet, and so on. We've also seen that within some of the facets, an extra level of options appears, and these are called browse filters. The next question might be, but where do those lists of departments, item groups, and so on come from? Well, these can be viewed from the Find and Filter setup page in CloudMT, which is under the Item Organisation section of your menu. This page shows your current list of facets, all the activities, departments, item groups, and materials that you can assign to your items. When you land on this page, you might see this message here. Find and Filter is in read-only mode. To understand why this happens, we're going to look at the second topic of today's webinar. Why Find and Filter setup is important for AutoSIM. AutoSIM is our automatic product activation service. Partnering with suppliers across the cycle, equestrian and outdoor industries, we're able to provide you with an ever-growing database of product listings, which can then be automatically populated onto your site. AutoSIM fills out the whole of the item essentials section. That's the product name, descriptions, images, categories, and, crucially for today's webinar, the facets. That's our key point here. AutoSIM setup includes facet setup. AutoSIM will fill out those find and filter options on items for you. This means that there is a default list of facets for the cycle, equestrian and outdoor industries. In other words, there's a pre-built structure in CloudMT with all the departments, activities, item groups and so on that AutoSIM will draw on to set up the items. If you amend this structure, AutoSIM will not always be able to complete that facet setup. Let's say AutoSIM wants to assign the item group trousers to some of your items, but you've deleted the item group trousers and you've created one called trousers and over trousers instead. Now AutoSIM can't fully set up those items and you'd end up with odd gaps to sort out. There is also a risk of duplicate or overlapping facets. Let's say instead of deleting the item group trousers, you just create an extra one called over trousers. However, it's likely that AutoSIM would still be putting products that are over trousers within the standard trousers category, but when you set up other items yourself, you're putting them in over trousers, and before you know it, your site is in a right mess. This is why we lock the find and filter setup page as read-only for AutoSIM users. If you're not using AutoSIM, the support team can unlock the page for you. Just get in touch via phone or live chat. If you are using AutoSIM, but you still want to make some small additions to your find and filter setup, again, get in touch with support and we can walk you through all of the implications in lots more detail before proceeding. If you are making your own find and filter structure, for example, you're working in an industry other than cycle, equestrian or outdoor, or you're just not using AutoSIM at the moment, then the find and filter setup page is where you do this. It's as simple as filling out a table with the departments, materials and so on that you would like to assign to your items. You set the facet names and CloudMT will generate a URL fragment for each one. We'll be talking more about these URL fragments and how they are used later in the webinar. You can also create your own browse filters on this page where you think they are needed. On the screen, we can see an example from the default equestrian find and filter setup. Within the item group horse rugs, there are browse filters for the rug weight, either lightweight, medium weight, or heavyweight. We're going to move on now to think about the impact of your find and filter setup on results pages on your e-commerce site. The find and filter options show down the left-hand side of results pages. Your customers can tick and untick the boxes next to the facets to narrow down their search results. Customers can combine multiple selections too. Here, the customer has chosen to look at jerseys, that's an item group, from 2 specific brands. Just a quick note on that one. The brand facet isn't actually set in CloudMT. It's just synced through from the CloudPOS back office. The same is true for season. Customers can also access the find and filter options on mobile devices. Where the screen size is smaller, we just collapse them under this filters menu at the top of the screen. Once clicked, the customer can apply choices across department, age group, colour and so on. Now we're going to consider the impact of find and filter setup on facet navigation. Facet navigation is the name for your navigation menu. We call it facet navigation because your customers will be navigating through the different facets that you have assigned to your items, as we're about to see. Your facet navigation is organised into 3 levels. The first level is static and always visible on larger screen sizes such as desktop PCs and larger tablets. Once a customer clicks into a first level option, they can then see the second and third levels of the facet navigation. The second level options are the subheadings. Here we have accessories, parts, tools and maintenance. The third level options sit beneath these. For example, under accessories, we have options here such as lights, locks, and nutrition. You can see this same 3-level structure when you are configuring your facet navigation in CloudMT. You'll find the facet navigation setup page under the Quick Links section of your CloudMT menu. For example, if we click the little arrow or triangle beside parts, tools and accessories, a first level option, this expands out to show the second level options. Clicking the arrows beside these options then displays the third level options within them. On the screen, we can see how the accessories section is presented in CloudMT versus how this presents to a customer on the e-commerce site. The facets are used to set the criteria for each page. In other words, which products do we want our customers to see when they click on a particular page within the facet navigation? Here, we're using the example of a women's jerseys page. To view and amend the setup of this page, we would click Edit beside it in blue. This opens the Options window. Now this is where those facets come into play. On this page, we have set the item group jerseys, the gender female, and the age adult. This means an item would need to have all 3 of those facets assigned in order to appear on this women's jerseys page. CloudMT uses the URL fragment of each facet to make up the overall page URL. So for this page, the URL would be the main site URL, e.g. citruslineBikes.co.uk/jerseys/female/adult. Let's consider 3 example items and whether or not they would appear on this women's jerseys page. First of all, we have an item with age group adult, item group jerseys, and gender female. That's perfect. This item meets all 3 facet criteria for the women's jerseys page, and so it would appear. Let's look at the next item. This item has the required age group facet, adult, the required item group facet, jerseys, but its gender is set to male. That's not good enough. This item only meets 2 of the 3 facets required for the women's jerseys page, so it wouldn't show. Here is our third example. We're looking for age group adult. Check. Item group jerseys. Check. Then we have gender unisex. In fact, this product would appear on the women's jerseys page. This is because items with a unisex gender facet will appear on male or female results pages. In other words, a page set to female will also include unisex items, and a page set to male will also include unisex items. Hopefully, you're now feeling more confident with how the find and filter options on an item affect the results pages on which it shows. Remember, an item could appear on lots of different pages from within your Facet navigation. The item at the top of the screen, for example, would appear on a page set to show all items from the Troy Lee Designs brand, and it would also show on a page set to show all items with department clothing and activity cycling, and so on. We're now going to move on to the final section of today's webinar, how to use Find and Filter in other areas of CloudMT. Firstly, we can use the facets when setting up banners. Remember, banners are the tiled images that make up the majority of your homepage. You can control where your banners link to when a customer clicks on them. This is all set up from the banner management page in CloudMT, which is right at the very top of the menu. For example, here we have a banner focused on children's riding wear. In banner management, the URL field specifies where the customer will be taken if they click on this banner. You don't need to include your full website URL here, just the fragments that appear afterwards. Here, customers would be taken to the page /clothing/kids. So we've got two facets in play, the department facet clothing and the age group facet kids. If a customer clicked on this banner, they would see items that have both of those facets assigned. If you need to check the URL fragments for any of your facets, you can do so from the Find and Filter setup page in CloudMT. Another good option is simply to visit the page that you'd like customers to land on and then just copy the URL fragments from the address bar in your own browser. Next up, we're going to look at using the facets in Find and Filter star buys. A Find and Filter star buy allows you to link two groups of products together in a special offer. When a customer purchases an item from the first group, called the source group, at full price, they can then purchase an item from the second group, the target group, at a discount. If you're not yet familiar with star buys, you'll find a really detailed how-to article on our knowledge base, howto.citruslime.com, and there'll be a link at the end of the webinar too. We use facets when configuring these star buys. Let's walk through the example on the screen where we're setting up the source group. Here, we have said that if a customer purchases an item that has department, saddlery and tack, item group, head collars and lead ropes, and within that a browse filter of lead ropes specifically, then they will be able to access this star buy. The customer will pay full price for an item from this group, but then they'll be offered items from a second group at a discount. That group of items will also be defined using a combination of facets. When you're building a star buy group, you'll also be shown a URL that joins together the URL fragments of all your chosen facets. This is indicated on the screen with an arrow. You could copy and paste this URL onto the end of your main site address to view all of the products that will be included in the group, just to make sure you're happy with them before activating your star buy. Finally, we are going to consider how the Find and Filter options can be used for configuring coupons. Coupons are online-only discount codes. Again, if you'd like some further information on this functionality, just check out the knowledge base. You'll find your coupons list and the button to create a new coupon under the Marketing and Promotions section of the CloudMT menu. When you create a coupon, you have the option of restricting its usage rather than allowing it to be used on all products. To do this, you'll need to set your discount type to percentage and then click to apply the coupon to all items within a Find and Filter address. This will then give you a blue button to select new facets, which you can see here on the screen. And here we are again with our list of departments, item groups, and so on. In this example, we have said that this coupon will offer customers 10% off any item that has department pets, the browse filter dogs, and the item group pet toys and treats. If you look beside the blue Select New Facets button, you see another URL made up of these combined facet URL fragments. Just like with the star by groups, you could copy and paste this onto the end of your site address just to check you're happy with the products you're offering with the coupon. It's time for a quick review. In this webinar, we have covered where to view Find and Filter setup in CloudMT. We looked at item records as well as the Find and Filter setup page. That brought us to our second topic, why Find and Filter setup is important for AutoSIM. Remember, AutoSIM needs to use the default lists of Find and Filter options, so amending that structure can mean that your products aren't set up correctly. This is why we often lock the Find and Filter setup page as read-only for AutoSIM users. Next, we learned about the impact of Find and Filter on results pages, where customers can use tick boxes beside the facets to narrow down their search results. We then saw the impact of Find and Filter on facet navigation, where they form the criteria for the different pages within your site menu. Finally, we looked at how to use Find and Filter in other areas of CloudMT. This includes banners, star buys, and coupons. If you've enjoyed this webinar, be sure to subscribe to the Citrus Lime YouTube channel to keep up to date with all the newest features and product updates. You'll also find playlists of how-to videos guiding you through the CloudPOS back office, point of sale, workshop module, and cloud reports. I've just had a quick check and I can see that so far there haven't been any questions submitted in today's Q&A, but if you do think of a question following the webinar, please feel free to get in touch with the support team. That is everything we have time for today. Thank you very much for joining. Remember, for more help with the entire CloudPOS platform, you can get in touch with the support team via phone or live chat. You can also refer to the knowledge base of how-to articles. Just scan the QR code on the screen and that will take you straight to the CloudMT section. Thank you everyone, and goodbye for now.